Hey, Blue Rockers, welcome to Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. How are you? I'm Connie Willis, and this is Crypto Connie Tuesday. Hope you guys are doing well. I hope you like the new set, and I hope you like that we're doing some special things tonight. I mean, very special. Not just is it Crypto Connie Tuesday, but we've got some really neat things going on tonight. All right, so first of all, I want to welcome those of you that are new here. If you have subscribed, you are now a Blue Rocker, and a Blue Rocker is someone in the know. And that also means you know how to say hello like that when we all greet each other. So again, it's someone in the know, and it's, you know, basically you subscribed. While you are here, I hope you like it, so you'll hit that like button, and I hope you share this with others as we grow, continue to grow the channel. We're just about at 13,000 and flying high. Appreciate some of those comments that we've been getting lately too, and thank you for sharing everything. So tonight we are, for the first time, I guess, multicasting to my Twitter Periscope, which is, I think, my Blue Rock Talk one. The other one's not working. It's one or the other. I've got a Connie Willis one and a Blue Rock Talk one, so it's hitting one of those. I hope so. I'll have to check it out. Let's see if we've gotten any. See if you can see me here, even on the YouTube. So definitely on YouTube, that's our little home base that we've got going on. And let's see if I see my face. And it's slowly refreshing. Also my Facebook personal page, there it is. And also my Facebook Connie Willis page, Blue Rock Talk page. And they don't allow groups right now. I mean, Facebook's really tough when it comes to sharing your video with anybody else. So there's certain ways you have to do it. And soon I'll put it on D Live as soon as I can figure it out, because apparently you got to go back on there and push the button. And that doesn't make it very easy when you're trying to hit all of them. So we are all over the place. So wherever you are out there, hey, and thanks for joining us. Please spread this and share this as we grow the audience. And also, I want to remind you of what else we have here on Blue Rock Talk. So I'd like for you to subscribe if any of these turn you on. Now, of course, tonight is Crypto Connie Tuesday. That's all about cryptocurrencies. And Wasted Wednesday is coming up in the future. Wasted Wednesday will be a serious look at the cannabis industry. All right, that's coming soon. There's a possibility, let me know what you think of that. There's a possibility that might be a paid show. Okay, that might be, I might head over to Patreon and have that for those of you that are Patreons to get something special like that. Thursdays, that's like our signature night. So we call that Signature Thursday or Far Out Thursday. That's where some really interesting conversation happens. And then we have Bigfoot Friday, of course, that's self-explanatory. A lot of great people, all real researchers, people with evidence on all the shows. I go and get the best of the best. And then on Sundays, we have Stan's Bible Lecture. That is a college-level course. All these shows are live, so we have Q&A with them, and you can debate and battle as much as you want. And we also have plenty of breaking news along the way and spontaneous stuff. I'm looking forward to, in the future, Meteorite Man is going to be coming close to where I'm at. We're going to meet up, and he's going to take me meteorite hunting. So I already have a playlist for metal detecting. I want to find some gold, but he's going to teach me how to find meteorites, and I prefer meteorites, actually. They're out of this world. Now, coming soon, I will be on Spreaker and iHeartRadio, so be watching for that. And I'll be on Coast to Coast August 11th. We're going to have William Gazetke on, who last time we tried to have him on and we had some audio problems. So seems like forever ago that happened, but we'll catch up with all that. So once again, you're watching Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. That is Earth's most interesting conversations. So it's all the way across the board, as you heard, throughout all the nights. Again, everything's at 10 p.m. Eastern, except Stan's Bible Lecture is at 2 p.m. Eastern. I may change some of those nighttime. These nighttime ones might be a little earlier. We'll see about that. We'll see about that. But there we go. Not bad, huh? I hope you hit that like button. And those of you that want to talk in the live chat, those of you that have a question at all, first of all, put it in all caps. And if you have a comment, put it in all caps. Now, the other thing is, If you want to talk in the live chat that I see, the one that I see, the main one that we're going to go to, the main one to go to is the one on YouTube. So I have included the link below if you're at Facebook, okay? Or if you're on Twitter. Alrighty, so check that link below. That's where you go, and subscribe while you're there so you won't miss anything else. But that's the live chat that we'll be checking out. So, all right, Facebook is going down. Nice setup. Okay. Oh, ooh, really? Well, that's not good. I'm on a 14-day trial, so thank you. That will be. Yeah, I just talked to the guy today. They're out in Orlando. So we'll see how it goes. This is a big test. I'm excited about it. I was telling Stan about it, and I was telling him I was excited. He didn't seem as excited, but maybe he will be. Maybe he will be. So let's go ahead and bring on Stan here. Let me see if I can pull up him. And I had to bring him out from the farm. He was cutting wood today, and you've got his hair cut and doing all sorts of things. Hey there, Stan. How are you?
Hey there, Connie.
It's good to see you. I am so excited that we are doing this, and it's hitting multiple platforms. It's been a long time coming. I've been trying to do it, and here I'm doing it. And, we'll see how that goes. There's a little, you got to work it and tweak things according to the guy that talks about streaming it out. So we'll work on that. But I'm excited about it. Yay! You're all over the place now, Stan.
All right. Boy, I've made the big time now.
You have. I'm hoping so. Well, so, normally we have some big thing that is about to launch or something that's going on behind the scenes that you give us a little hint for. And I know there's some things going on behind the scenes that you don't want to talk about and you don't want to jinx. And I know there's some other things behind the scenes that other people don't want to talk about. So it's so secretive now because there's so many people out there that want to destroy the other person for doing something good and helpful to the world. That I'm just going to take it from you. I think there was some sort of launch, though. What wasn't there just the other day?
Well, back on July 4th, we launched Quintric in full scale, and it's off and running. And there's an interesting announcement there. We just signed a really big deal today, but I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to talk about it. It's one of the things that's important to keep in mind is I talk about a lot of things because a lot of people share their ideas with me and what they're working on. And in many cases, they're joint ventures that we're doing together. But in many cases, they're all led by different people with their own plans for when they're going to make things known and so on. So it takes a little bit of a challenge for me to keep straight in my head all of the different things that are going on and what I can talk about. Okay. But, I guess I can talk about some general philosophical things that will guide many of the things that are going on right now that people are doing that all are complementary in nature.
Oh, so, cool. Okay.
I probably will go into that. And of course, I'm very pleased to have my digital token, non-digital token right here with me.
What is that? Show me that to the camera.
That is a poker chip or a casino chip of some type.
$1,000.
Well, it says $1,000. I wonder if it really is. But it was given to me free inside my convention package out at when I was out in Las Vegas. So I don't know why I have it, but I said, great, this is my talisman. Whenever a regulator comes at me and says that all tokens are securities, I hold this up and say, all right, well, what about all these tokens out there in Las Vegas? Are they securities? And if you can't tell me they are, you either have to get out there and get on an awful lot of casinos' cases for issuing securities, or you're going to have to maybe go back to the drawing board and get your story straight before you start raiding people and shutting them down over issuing tokens of one form or another. So I'll keep this handy. You just never know when I might have to wave it in front of somebody's face.
I'm coming. I was checking everything. So far, everything's looking good. I'm so excited. Yay! I am. Well, you always do the token thing, and I'm glad because that is a visual. You know, some people are better at audio, listening to, you know, learning from listening, and others from touching, and others from seeing. And I'm really good at kind of all of them together, combined work, but really seeing them really makes a difference to me. So you holding up that token, I know that works a lot. And of course, I always love the theater of the mind, or I wouldn't be in radio, right? But I think I kind of want to whisper it to you because I think there was some launch. I thought it was okay to mention, but I don't want to get in trouble. So, so was there a new wallet lately? Let's put it that way.
There's, well,
no,
yeah.
Or no?
I know of more than one wallet
okay.
lately. Some of which are delayed because we just got too many things going on, and they're fratriciding, interfering with each other as we're trying to get them all done. I can think of 3 different wallets that are out there and some people have seen, and there may even be a 4th one that will come on the scene shortly. So, but have they been announced yet? Yeah,
no,
not the ones that I've been involved in. I'm sure around the ecosystem, there's a lot of people. You know, I mean, we're doing a lot, but we're not even doing a third of the total amount of stuff that's happening in the BitShares ecosystem. So it's entirely possible these days that stuff can happen, you know, that basically don't catch my attention. And so you may have heard about one of them too.
Yes, yeah, I think so. Well, should I say the name then of the wallet? Then you think it's safe?
I don't know. You didn't hear about it from me. Whoever you heard it about from.
I heard it from Michael.
Okay.
Oh, that could just be inside scoop. All right, forget it. We'll just forget it. We'll totally. I don't want to jinx anything because it's really cool. So, all right. So I know that there's so many things we can't talk about. Bummer. So what can we talk about? What is it that you want to get to? And by the way, those of you just joining us, it's Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. Tonight is Crypto Connie Tuesday. I become Crypto Connie. This is Stan Larimer, the godfather of BitShares, and he comes here on Tuesday nights. We talk about the BitShares dynasty and what's next and what's coming. And also, those of you into the cryptocurrency or thinking about getting into crypto, you can ask Stan questions in the live chat and see if he can answer them or not. And he will be honest with you. He's not just going to give you fluff. He'll either say, I have no idea what you're talking about, or, oh, I can tell you a lot of stuff about this. So do keep in mind, those of you in all the other platforms out there, because we're on Facebooks, different Facebook pages and Twitters, as well as YouTube. The live chat that I will be looking at is the one on YouTube. So come on over to Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis on YouTube and chat away with us. And if you have a question for Stan, or a comment for Stan, put it in caps. There you go, Stan.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Well, you know, I would say that we're looking at, you know, 8 weeks of intensity coming up. We have, at the end of that 8 weeks, we go on the road. Michael and I will be all over the place, not always together, but we'll be doing different things. So kicking that off is BitFest over in Amsterdam, where you know it's a conference that's for BitShares related stuff, but I'm sure there'll be discussions of other things using BitShares technology, graphene-based technology in general. And so we'll be over there showing up and looking forward to meeting all the people in the European theater that will be showing up there to participate. And I'll be speaking at that particular conference as well. And then as soon as that is over, I hop on a plane the very next day and fly to Brazil, which through the perverse nature of things takes me through Canada. So I'll be crossing long, gallingly brutal flights between continents, 3 different continents there in a period of 24 hours, as I make my way down to Sao Paulo, where there will be another nice BitShares and cryptocurrency type conference. And Michael and I will be there and speaking probably 2 keynote addresses and maybe 2 panels that will be on down there, and getting to know all the folks in South America that converge for that event. And no sooner do we get that done than we hop back to Ireland, where we'll be doing an interesting project with the Kingdom of Breffni, which is an interesting little semi-autonomous unit right there in the middle of the northern part of Ireland. And we're going to be there participating in their big documentary. Breffni is one of our partners in Quintric, and they produce and make a lot of our coins into legal tender, which helps a lot, with their legal basis for specialty coins of one way or another. So we're going to have the whole Quintric team over there. We've already opened an office in that little domain, put a couple of our staff members on site to get to know the population and start building that up. And that will become, another little outpost over there that has big implications in terms of dealing with the regulatory viability of different types of things that we're doing. And that's actually become a growth industry. Sort of what I want to talk about tonight is the number of blossoming technologies that are addressing the issue of what to do about rogue governments who are, interfering with the growth of our industry. And I say that because it's pretty obvious right now. I mean, they can't even hide it. The fact that they are not attempting to regulate in good faith, but instead are shutting down companies, stealing their resources, and then bottling up the case and saying, nothing to see here. We shut you down. We didn't find you did anything wrong, but too bad. And
Stan, do you think that when you say the rogue guys, the rogue government, and then, we all see crypto as like, right? Do you think that all those people really, truly believe this is the worst thing in the world, other than the fact that they'll lose out on money? Do you think that their mind, not just the money part of it, but do you think their mind really thinks crypto is really horrible, or it's just, a problem that they're going to have in the future where they'll lose out?
Well, you can't throw everybody into one bucket. Okay, I'm sure in every one of those organizations, there's people whose mission in life is to protect the consumer. I'm not sure that that's the majority anymore. I think that these organizations have multiple agendas. Certainly, some agendas are fear that there will be a big scandal because somebody did some scam and they'll be blamed for it. That's sort of the excuse that they'd like to use. But I think there's also a whole lot of, it's the regulatory equivalent of a gold rush. Hey, a whole new area that somebody gets to regulate. It ought to be us. And so you have multiple regulatory agencies, each arguing that they should be in charge. And a lot of the things that are done are really to exert that type of control, I think. That's why the rush to regulate before they even understand the industry, before they even understand what a casino chip is like, and the moral equivalent of that in the digital currency industry. Now, don't get me wrong. I think there are things that are obvious securities, and the people who are assigned the job of regulating those securities ought to, make sure that that's done in accordance with proper law. But, we would expect our regulatory authorities to also be above reproach. We give them tremendous trust and power to manage and look after the legality of things. And when they abuse that power and start throwing their weight around, then with flagrant disregard for people's constitutional rights and so on, then people lose respect for them. I've lost a lot of respect for big organizations I used to respect because of the dirty tricks that they've played. And it's all over the news. Even clear up at President Trump's level. You have, people playing around with the FISA courts using falsified documents, absolutely fraudulent documents, to go get a FISA order to allow them to spy on people. And then that spy order is like super general. So you can spy on the person named and anybody they talk to and anybody that the people they talk to. That's a pretty big network of people who are having their privacy invaded, all under the auspices of what appears to be fraudulent FISA documents. And, those FISA courts are supposed to have very high standards, but the judges still have a presumption of trust with the agencies that are bringing these requests. And if those agencies are grabbing stuff they know to be false, and we certainly saw that in the Rise Bank case, they used a list of charges that were largely dropped 5 days later. You can't tell me that they didn't know that they had put a lot of garbage into that and used it to get extraordinary privileges that they still haven't let go, even though no one in that case has been arrested. And no wrongdoing has been found of any kind. So suddenly, they haven't come back and said, "Oops, I'm sorry, guys, we screwed up. We owe you an apology. Let us go publish to all those papers where we smeared you 6 months ago. Let's go publish an apology and a retraction and say, yeah, we rated it based on false information that we got. And even though we're a super powerful agency with all the resources in the world, we were too lazy to check it out. So we just believed it and wrote up and attacked the thing without doing our homework first. And yeah, we did all that. And now we're sorry. We'd like to restore the reputation. We'd like to give the people who put money into this their money back. And we're sorry we spent $1.5 million of it counting it. Think about that. The people that are supposed to be conserving the resources are burning through it just as fast as they can. So there's a lot of things that really concern me about how all that is. And why did I go into my typical rant at the beginning of the show instead of waiting a little longer? Well, it's okay. I wanted to talk about what this is stimulating, okay? Because, it's that old, the more you tighten your grip, the more starship systems will slip through your fingers. I love that phrase.
I love that phrase. That's Stan's phrase.
Yeah. All over the world, the focus of companies and technologists and so on is in coming up ways to protect themselves from rogue government actions. Okay. So they're making a bigger problem for themselves instead of coming along and saying, let's work together and figure out how to regulate it. Keep in mind, the SEC is a self-regulating industry or organization. It was created with the idea of the industry regulating itself, but now that same group wants to regulate competitors. And that's a conflict of interest, quite frankly, that worries me a lot. But because they do that, and it's not just limited to the US, it's all over the world, different countries, some are embracing cryptocurrencies. Certainly a lot of the smaller companies see it as a major way for them to catch up economically, and so they're embracing it. But in general, it's now become an arms race of trying to create more and more controlling and limiting regulations on the industry. And other people are sitting there saying, well, what can we do to protect ourselves? And so I've noticed around the industry, many different people that are working on different things, new methods for achieving privacy. Now, you need that privacy anyhow, just because your competitors are out there weighing your purse and wanting to know who you're working with and who your contacts are and everything else they can find out about you. So a lot of blockchains have been very transparent, and that's good. And there's a lot of good things. And the idealists among us, including my son, Dan, would like to see more openness. So, you can shine a bright light on everybody's transactions. But as a practical matter, as long as there's competition out there and your competitors wanting to know what you're doing, you need privacy. And so there's a lot of people working on that privacy. And sadly, because governments can't be trusted anymore to be fair referees, a lot of people are interested in that privacy from the government. It used to be that everybody said, well, I don't care if the government knows what I'm doing. They're the fair referee, right? They're the guys that sit in the background and make sure everybody's playing on a level playing field. And so, of course, the referee is allowed to see my private stuff. But when they start doing some of the things we've seen in many different cases, that undermines the willingness of the public to trust them with that awesome responsibility of looking, basically inside our entire financial lives laid bare, and all the people we know and everything about us. And if they can't even be trusted to go through the FISA process without lying to the FISA court, then, where does that leave us with trusting our governments? So I see a lot of demand out there in the world for privacy enhancing features that allow people to manage their affairs without people putting their thumb on the scale or doing other things that are out, from an American standpoint, fundamentally unconstitutional, and from the rest of the world, just plain unfair. So all of those things are going on, and I'm just real excited to see that a number of really interesting new technologies are coming out that I think will help us. Certainly, one of the big ones is what EOS is doing. EOS is a very idealistic solution that allows people to select the jurisdictions in which they want to do contracts and do smart contracts and deals and so on. And the vision there is to say, I'll find somebody who's willing to subscribe to the same jurisdiction that's defined on the blockchain in terms of how we're going to do business as I am. And then, we'll do a deal together and encode it on the blockchain. And now we've had the chance to select the rules under which we're going to compete and rely on the blockchain to enforce them. And that's really great. But then that only works is if the governments of the world stay out of that and say, if you guys, two consenting adults who governments have no problem with consenting to do all kinds of things they shouldn't be doing, yet they can't consent to have their own contractual relationships. So it's a concern, but that leads us to something I blogged about a couple weeks ago that had to do with engineering blockchains to keep you inside one jurisdiction or outside of a particular jurisdiction so that you can carefully manage your exposure to the governments of the world and the regulations that are out there. Right now, a lot of people have, most blockchains are designed to be everywhere with the idea that, if one government shuts down one node, it'll keep running because there's lots of nodes in other jurisdictions. But that doesn't help the people that want to use those chains, especially big companies that take compliance seriously and they don't want to risk the money of their shareholders or their clients or whatever. They want to make sure that they're compliant. But when you've got 50 different American states and 200 different countries all making up different rules, and you got an internet that goes everywhere, there's all kinds of opportunity for you to cross jurisdictional lines and get yourself exposed to a set of rules that you didn't intend to be exposed to. So building new blockchains and tools that allow you to carefully manage so that you could say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas and govern under Nevada law, for example, and not have to worry about, this transaction, it went from 2 different counties in Nevada and went through New York City on the way. And so suddenly the New York City bit license suddenly applies, New York State bit license. And so I think that we're going to find a lot of work done, and we are doing some work in terms of managing our regulatory footprint so that we know exactly what regulations apply. And that's very important for many companies because it's very expensive to comply with 250 different jurisdictions around the world.
If you're just now tuning in, you're watching Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. I'm Connie Willis, but I'm Crypto Connie tonight. That is Stan Larimer, the godfather of BitShares, that's talking to you, getting in his little rants a little early, but that's okay. We love it. We love when he does it. And one day, you and Gerald Salente will do it together. But you'll be on the same side. You won't be against each other, I don't think. But it'll be fun. That'll be fun to watch. If you are just now joining us, I hope you hit the like button. I hope you subscribe too. We have this tonight all over Facebook, my personal page, as well as Connie Willis and Blue Rock Talk pages, and Twitter out there too. So I'm hoping it's working out and it's fun. Those of you that want to join in on the live chat and ask questions for Stan, then you got to come over to YouTube, the Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis on YouTube, because that's the live chat I'm going to follow. I can't follow all of the live chats. I would go nuts. This is already tough enough. So that's what you need to do, is come over here and then put it into all caps. I had some questions for you here, Stan, but then again, I've got some over here before I lose them. All right, we've got a great group of people in. They're very active on the live chat tonight. Very active. I love it. We're going to have to get you another computer on the side so you can see when it moves up so much. I love that. Thank you guys for all being so interactive and participating and talking amongst yourselves. I appreciate that. So let's see what this one is. How's that, DCC? I love these names that people come up with. They're just great. They're great. Please, can Stan talk about CloudCoin integration and how he expects that will impact BitShares?
Two different levels to that. First level is simply doing exactly analog-wise. It's different code base, but exactly what we're doing with Quintric, right? Except the tokens that are circulating on BitShares are either backed by a gold coin or backed by a cloud coin. All right, and each of those has its own depository. One is a physical depository where you put gold coins. Another one is a special type of decentralized computing system that allows you to store your coins in a cloud, and they're there for you until you want to take delivery. Both of them will allow you to take delivery by cashing in your BitShares token for one of those two things, and what that does in the case of CloudCoin, the number one reason for do that is to establish a market, right? CloudCoins don't have a blockchain associated with them. They're something that can be embedded and stored in a file on your computer, or on a hard drive, or shredded and sent all over outer space, for that matter. So those coins, in order for them to really get market exposure, need to have a surrogate token that's sitting on the BitShares network, and that's really no different than the surrogate token.
Show your token. Show your token. Come on. Yeah. What's wrong with you?
Which is a claim check in this particular case for a gold coin, or a cloud coin, or for that matter, a Bitcoin. Open BTC is an example of the same kind of thing. The only difference there is an independent company is storing the Bitcoins offline and issuing onto the BitShares network a token that represents an IOU for one of the Bitcoins that they're holding for you. But you see, this is a major function that allows things that are off the blockchain to be traded against each other on the blockchain. And it's really no different than what's happening on all the centralized exchanges. Those centralized exchanges, when you send any coin you want, Ethereum, Bitcoin, BitShares, whatever, they just keep them in their own wallets and let you trade IOUs on their exchange software. And so it's a pretty common way of working with it, nothing mysterious, but it's big because CloudCoin has the interesting attribute, as does Quintric's gold-backed coins, of you can do things and pass them around out in the open, on the open, highly transparent blockchain where all your competitors can see what you're doing, or you can go into the depository and ask the depository to do a transfer between two accounts that are located in that depository, or in the case of CloudCoin, they could email the coin to somebody else. But the point is, those coins can move around without anybody invading your privacy while you're doing it. And so those are some good examples of what we're doing. So the answer to your question that was asked was, there's no impact to BitShares, but BitShares being used for what it was meant for, which is to allow all kinds of tokens to be traded. And the definition of what these are depends on what promises are made. And it's a different promise when you say, I'm giving you a piece of my company, and you can expect this to grow in value, and all the other things that are in the Howey test that make it a security, or versus this is a claim check for something you have on deposit. That's a utility token, no different than what you'd use in a laundromat when you can't put dollar bills into the washing machine, so they give you a piece of metal you can put in the washing machine. That's the same functionality. And so we got to make sure that we don't let the overzealous regulators say that they're going everything's a security in that's on a blockchain. That's pure bogus. Now, good news is, of course, that the chairman of the SEC admitted that tokens can start out being securities and become not securities. Presumably, the opposite could be true. So that means that there are times when they are not securities, and we should admit that. And so that's one of the things we have to make sure as an industry we stand up for, helping people understand all the things that this could be used for. So there's a long-winded answer to the first question.
Holy cow, are you done yet? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding you. Well, talking with Sean, what he's mentioned many times is, like, currently I am a hodler, right? Hodler or hodler? I'm a hodler.
I'd call it hodler.
I'm a hodler.
I'm sure there's people that say it other ways. There's probably a Spanish version of that too, for all I know.
Well, being a hodler, wait a minute, hodler, right? You said hodler, I'm sorry. Being a hodler, where, by the way, some people are going to start showing me the Cowboy Z and Cowboy Nick and Cowboy and Crypto Z and all those guys and all the Vince and all those people, they're out there teaching crypto school, so they're going to start teaching me some stuff. But as I hodl my things right now, because I'm not sure what to do with them yet. I'm still learning and helping other people like me to learn, and we're picking it up piece by piece from you and Michael and Sean and the folks at Quintric when they got to speak with us too, getting a little bit here and a little bit there all over the place of what to really do if we want to make it grow, or sit there and watch and see what happens. There's so many strategies. But what Worthington had said about CloudCoin was, he said it was not meant to hold on to, it was meant to spend. So that's another unique thing where there's always something new behind a coin, and also ways to spend it or not spend it, or what to do with it. And I love that. It's almost like you go, at one point you're going to have them lined up on the website of the BitShares Dynasty, and it'll be all lined up like, just like going on eBay or Amazon or something, and we can pick out, oh, this coin does this, this, and this. All right, that's the one I want. It's one I want to sit on this one. I want to play with this one, or I want to use this in games, or what I guess with even the cloud coins, you can spend it on xyz.com. Is that what it's called?
XYZ Buy, I think.
Is that it? Yeah. Okay. And all these other coins too. Walking around some of the different cities I've been to, I love going by the restaurants and seeing, we take Bitcoin, or we take, different ones. So I hope that there's some out there that are taking BitShares, anything a part of the BitShares Dynasty, because please let me know so I can talk about it and maybe even come see you or something like that. I think that would be so fun to do. Are you finding that more and more that people are using it, Yeah,
I would. Well, I don't personally think that it's going to be much longer that they'll be saying specific coin names. I think they'll be saying cryptocurrencies taken here, and the wallets will, be multi-coin wallets that, do the translations, and the merchant won't even know they're taking crypto. So, people who have crypto, we'll have the wallet take care of that for you. And I know of several projects that have built variations on that theme, multi-coin wallets,
Awesome.
and some really powerful ones. One of the ones that I was just mentioning out there earlier tonight that I didn't tell you what it was because it's not my place to announce it. But there is one out there that
Fair enough.
it does, and that's a really cool thing. One of the trends, if you will, is more and more platform independent coins. And some of these projects that I see coming out and being talked about openly in the next 8 weeks are things that will allow you to have coins that migrate like coconuts to any different chain, and especially within the EOS universe, and things that bring BitShares into that EOS universe, so that all of BitShares products and services can migrate out onto that vast new platform independent world. So once we get platform independent, it's not going to be so much talking about, which blockchain am I using? That'll fade into the background. People don't usually talk about whether they're using Linux or Windows or Mac OS, right? Those are.
I don't know. I'm a Mac person, and I don't like those PC folk, and they're so proud, but we're prouder.
Okay. Well, it's true that probably people do have a preferred blockchain, but that'll quickly become a preferred wallet, right? And so the wallet that I use every day will give me access to multiple blockchains.
Okay.
And therefore, I won't have to think about them as much anymore. I'll be thinking about the products and services that ride on top of that and float between blockchains. Quintric, for example, the Quint, and I think that'll be true for the Cloud coin as well, will be able to move onto multiple different chains and interact and trade there and be used by businesses. One of the other things we're working on is the ability to help businesses come and integrate. And they don't want to have to learn everything about cryptocurrencies, so we're going to provide them with some integration assistance that hides that from them.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm confused here. So see if you can help me out on this. So there's several blockchains out there, and then everybody's got different wallets, and then there's exchanges. Is exchange different? And when can I go across the board with everything, all things, and is that a good idea? And also, you had mentioned previously that it was kind of good that there were all these different ones, where to me it would be easier if it was all out there, user-friendly, to do all these things and not think about it at all. But you also made a comment that sounded like if something went down for some reason, you had all these other ones. Mm-hmm. So what's the final goal? What's going to be the easiest? And to me, it's still hard to learn of where I can trade, what I can trade. I'm clueless.
Well, that's a good idea for another show some other night where you don't have a show. The
now
Clueless Connie show. Oh, this is great.
Oh, thanks. Yes, that'll be all over the place now. As long as they go viral, take it away. Yeah. So it's funny, everybody, if you're just now tuning in. Stan does Stan's Bible lecture on Sundays, and I don't know what was going on. I think it was last Sunday that you did this. I don't know what was happening with him, but we've known each other, I don't know, 8 months now, maybe, something like that. He calls me Connie Williams. Who's that? Somebody made a crack on it already here in the chat room. That's why it was funny. It was, I got to find it here. I'll find it and let you know, but it was funny. They were talking about that. So, yeah,
well,
those things hang in there.
My mind is more and more Swiss cheese the older I get. What can I say?
I can't even say Swiss. I can't even say it. Swiss cheese stand doesn't work, does it? Swiss cheese stand. I figure
it's fairly safe. It can't possibly catch on. But
you're right.
I have no idea. Things come out of my mouth without my permission all the time.
Yeah, well, thanks for that one you just gave me. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Anyhow, to get back to the question that you were asking, which is, yeah, there's all this confusing stuff, but it doesn't have to be confusing. First and foremost, every one of those blockchains is always accessible individually and can ignore everything else it might be connected to. So if I want to have the original reference wallet for BitShares, and I want to ignore all the things we're wrapping around it this summer, then I can still have pure BitShares and use a pure BitShares wallet. And some other company that doesn't like stuff that Stan and Michael and Sean and all the other people that are working with us are doing can ignore all of that and use the original BitShares wallet and just use the BitShares as is, and they can build up their entire hierarchy of different interfaces. For example, Open Ledger has been with us from the very beginning. It's an exchange built on top of BitShares, provides a lot of extra products and services, and people who log in through that don't really see the underlying BitShares. They have access to its.
Does it still work? I thought Open Ledger stopped working.
No, it had a
took a time off. Okay.
Somebody hacked something and they were down for a little bit, but I think they're back. Okay. And but what I'm saying is, once you understand the fact that I could have a wallet that connects BitShares and EOS, where a lot of the functionality for moving, issuing commands to either of those two blockchains to move stuff around can be done in my personal wallet. If those are the only two chains I need, maybe that's all I need.
Yeah.
But there are people out there right now that are showing off working software that I'm pretty excited about that very quickly can ramp up to basically having in one wallet all the world's most popular chains.
That'd be so cool.
That'd be so cool. And then you put a different interface on the front of it that hides the differences or the separateness and just presents you with, one wallet that looks like a one wallet. Behind the scenes, it's talking to multiple chains, but it looks like one wallet to you. And so as that happens, more and more of that integration happens, the competition will be who is going to produce the one application that's on your cell phone that gives you access to all the blockchains out there that you care about. And that's what most people are going to interface to. They'll have decentralized apps that access multiple chains. Now,
I like that.
As we progress, there will be other work that allows chains to do transactions without going through a middleman at all. Most people won't know the difference, whether there's a middleman or not, unless they're concerned that during the short amount of time that a coin is being held by a middleman, they don't trust that middleman, in which case, for certain applications, they'll want the direct connectivity. But for a lot of cases, that can be emulated by having a centralized node that does the exchange for you. And in fact, that's nothing new. If you look at blocktrades.us, that's a website you go to that has a list of coins you can send them and a list of coins they'll send you back. And you go in there and do 2 or 3 little steps, and now I can feed as many coins in and get as many coins back as I want. Yeah. And it's accessing exchanges all over the world and blockchains all over the world, because every single one of those coins means it has to talk to that blockchain in order to send and receive and deal in those coins. And so any exchange you go to has some combination of multiple blockchains it talks to. The big exchanges that do hundreds of currencies, they have hundreds of wallets that are interfacing to that. So I think all of that's going to get hidden behind the scenes, and it'll be pretty quickly getting down to the point where you have a little app that lets you manipulate the coins you care about and hides the rest. Okay. Well, you can hide stuff on the BitShares, in the BitShares wallet. You sure can. Yeah. Head of the game. So, BitShares and EOS,
and Steemit are all different blockchains.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the differences in them?
Oh, that, at the fundamental level, they're all built on various versions of graphene, and graphene is the fundamental toolkit, if you will, that you can use to build lots of different things. I've lost count. There's probably a dozen different blockchains out there built on that same technology that Dan developed initially, and of course he keeps adding to that library. The Steemit graphene library has more functions than the BitShares library does, and EOS has more than the other two. But that still is something that BitShares could if it wanted to, and it just might adopt stuff out of the Steemit or EOS library and
it
put
might.
it into. Just might.
It might, might it do it by the end of summer, or might it do it in fall, or?
Well, in the case of BitShares, to do that, there would have to be a rather arduous voting process to get people to agree to do this. So I think you're more likely to see somebody's private BitShares chain be the guinea pig for trying out some of these functions. And then if the main chain says, "Oh, I see how it's working over there. I like that," then people would have a little more confidence in it and might be more likely to vote for it over on the main chain. So I think that most of the work we're doing, we want to test stuff out without asking for a direct insertion into BitShares right off the bat. Doing it some other way until it's proven and people get confidence in it.
I love that idea, because you can really check it out for a little bit instead of just throwing it into the big one and all the problems and all the voting, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm excited about that. Yay! That sounds like fun. I'm liking that. Well, let's head over back to the live chat here. A lot of good people here. Thank you, those of you that are here. I hope you've subscribed. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that like button. I know there's a bunch more of you right there. I can see that you're out there watching. You haven't hit that like button yet. I hope that you do. I hope that you like what you're hearing. That's Stan Larimer, the godfather of BitShares. I'm Crypto Connie, otherwise Connie Willis. You can hear me on Coast to Coast as well as here on Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. And tonight we've got it thrown out to my Twitter platform, and we are simulcasting as well live on my personal Facebook page and my other official pages of Connie Willis, and also Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. So you're going to like this one, Stan. All right, so this is from Easy Dex. And those of you that do want to ask a question or make a comment, make sure you do it in caps so I can see it, okay? Because I stopped this thing so I can try to see them from afar. So Easy Dex says, can you shed some light on the biblical clues you've been dropping on Telegram? You're still doing that, right? This is awesome.
I'm up to number 36.
Let people know what that's about.
Okay, well, I'm an evangelist. I evangelize two things, Christianity and BitShares, okay? There are some people who would like to see me separate that and never, ever mention anything about religion inside a BitShares forum because, that's offensive. Well, what I find is offensive is that statement.
That's like having mashed potatoes over here and gravy over here. You gotta put that gravy on top of that mashed potato.
I don't require anybody else to adopt my faith to use BitShares, but I don't intend to suppress my normal everyday conversation about things that my whole worldview is through that lens. So naturally, when I talk about stuff, I might throw in a Bible quote, or I might put in a link to one of my other lectures, because people who are interested in one thing I'm doing are often people who are interested in the other thing. And I expect people who don't have an interest in one or the other to ignore it when I mention it. So if I'm in a Bible lesson and I mention BitShares, I don't expect people to say, well, you shouldn't have said BitShares in our Bible study. Sometimes that comes out in my normal talking. So what happened after I got several people in my normal BitShares channels expressing their opinion that I shouldn't be allowed to mention anything having to do with Jesus in that channel. I said, okay, fine. I'll go do another channel where I'm explicitly going to talk about that. And then that's the only place I'll release any information other than here on Blue Rock Talk. But you know, I'm going to be able to put up stuff about Blue Rock Talk in that channel, and I'm going to put hints out. And over the next 8 weeks, those hints are going to start getting less and less obscure as we go along. But the hints are basically to keep the people who are intolerant from learning about whatever I'm doing. I'm going to wrap them in Bible verses. Okay?
They'll hate that.
Read a little Bible verse in order to get my hint.
That's like holy water or something. They'll be like, ah.
Well, this is my little way of protesting to the people who tried to shut me up over on the other channel.
I think it's funny.
I'm not going to be shut up. And there are people on that other channel that says, well, you owe it to BitShares community to come over here and tell us all this stuff that you're doing without any Jesus talk while we're at it.
Oh,
and
my God.
No, I'm not under any such obligation to adopt your religion, which is the belief that I can't talk about my religion. Okay, So that particular group lost the privilege of hearing whatever I had to say for whatever it's worth. The only place I will talk about it now is, well, of course, I will still publish my Steam It articles, and those will be things that are formally announced. So if you want to wait to hear things that are formally announced, you can go read my Steam It articles.
And here, and here, and here.
Here, I'm going to make it a policy of occasionally explaining little tidbits for people who are willing to tolerate you and me talking about this and saying Jesus once in a while.
Jesus Christ, and not that way.
Not that way. And but so I will probably drop either a hint or an explanation of a hint into these conversations from time to time.
I think we should do a night of, kind of throwing them all out there.
Well, right now, I'm about to reveal a little bit of an explanation. Right here, folks, you're hearing it on cryptoconnie night. Okay. I'm right in the middle, halfway through it. I'm talking about biblical clues taken from Revelation, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And so far, I'll put out 2 clues. 2 horsemen have ridden out as 2 seals have been broken. And those are talking about some of the things we talked about earlier tonight. There'll be 2 more clues and 2 more horsemen before long. Each of those horsemen is a different approach to the things and the goals that I was talking about, dealing with regulatory uncertainty and privacy. And so I've told people already that those different hints, if you will, that are Bible verses out there have multiple fulfillments. Well, those multiple fulfillments will be found in the 4 horsemen that I'm in the process of revealing now. Right now, only the people who actually know about those 4 projects are going to probably be able to recognize themselves in the 4 horsemen. But as the clues come out, there'll be more information that will help people to understand it. But the big reveal tonight is the idea that we're not talking about just one big thing that we're doing, but there's actually 4 big things that we're involved in. And the truth be told, there's probably a dozen different types. But things that fall into the category of what I've been talking about tonight, which is methods for dealing with regulatory footprints in 4 very interesting ways. Things that have to do with decentralized webs, a complete new type of internet that is decentralized, meaning there is no central place where they can come and pull the plug on you by taking down your URL off the domain name servers and therefore denying you anyone the ability to get to you. So there is a whole category and another whole category. We've talked about several others of them tonight, whether you recognized it or not, they're in there. And
I was being cool. I was playing it cool. I was just
Bonnie probably recognized
I was letting you do it. I didn't want to get in trouble.
So there. I have done a little riff right here on the Crypto Connie show that sheds maybe a little more light to what's going on my BitShares for Nice People channel, which is intended to be a place where people are free to talk about things, and they're free to disagree as long as they're nice about it. And they're not shouting each other down and say, well, you can't say that.
Oh.
You know? And so
no, you can't say that. You can't say what you just said. What is wrong with you? That's projection. That is, someone had said the other day, bullies bully so they won't get bullied. I think that was Murray Krause.
That's an interesting thought. Yeah. And, I'm sure there's all kinds of psychological problems that are deep in the psyche of people who want to shut other people up for using. I mean, I can understand if I were to go into that forum and put on a Sunday school lesson.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That would be inappropriate.
Sure.
But when I post a link to a Sunday school lesson, when other people are posting links to whatever projects that they have in mind, and people might come along and say, well, wait a minute, but one's relevant. One is an application on BitShares. Well, BitShares itself is an application to provide alternatives to taking the mark of the beast, for those of you who know what that means. So anything to do with Christianity benefits from BitShares, and that's not a coincidence. Okay, so don't tell me what BitShares is good for or what I can do with it. And it's
they still might try to tell you what to do with it, Stan. I'll tell you what you can do with it.
Yes,
right?
I'll tell you what you can do with that. But I've gone off into my own channel, and people who don't want to hear that kind of stuff have their freedom to decide not to hear anything I say, but they don't get to pick and choose.
It's amazing. It's a long time ago. We didn't have that internet, and being in radio and television where you showed yourself to people or they heard you, mass audiences, people would still try to get a hold of you, but they would send letters. That's the only thing they could do, is they could send letters to you. At one point, they could start faxing you. But there were very few letters that ever came in, and usually they were either really good or really bad. There was never in between. And nowadays, there's just this instant gratification, satisfaction these guys get from just being a bully and running, like drop a bomb and go. And they have their fake name and whatever that they do. And it's a shame when people listen to it. I kind of wish the other people would, clobber the other ones with their words when they'd say something. But most people just want to pull back. The better people don't want to get involved and go, oh my gosh, not this again, yuck. But they will leave a site because there's so much bullying on it. Nowadays that everybody's doing this and thinking it's okay, some people are beginning to believe a lot of this really horribleness that people say. People will say things to any of us folk that go on radio or television even before you even go on. They're saying something bad about you. You're like, well, you haven't even heard me yet. Now, I heard recently somebody brought up, they said, well, Connie, there were some people in one of the Telegram groups saying that you're not credible because you also have these things where you talk to people about Bigfoot or UFOs or remote viewing. And it's like, well, those people are that's just their opinion. There's nothing to back that up whatsoever. In fact, there's actual real research to back up the fact that people are that open-minded to not only see things, go look for things, or also to hear things and to learn the truth of what's really going on out there. Because, there's something going on. Whatever it is, there's something happening. Well, those are the people open to this new money world that everybody else is trying to beat you up over, and not only is that audience open for that, and they should be saluted because they're open to things, but, they're going to be your best backers and they're going to be your most loyal people. So when you see right now that I have a small audience, but it's on the rise, they're loyal and they're dedicated and they're not going to go away. That's way more special than these people that are like, yeah. One of the things in radio that we had learned a long time ago was, let's say you did top 40 radio. Well, you know, it comes and goes. It comes and goes. It comes and goes. Even oldies comes and goes, because eventually, even though that takes a while before it comes and goes, that audience, you know, because it's just time does that, it's still a long period of time. The top 40 is really quickly, because it's kids, and then they go on to the next thing, and they go on to the next thing. So, you know, when you look for longevity as a radio personality or somebody in a radio format, besides talk, you know, one of the best, most loyal, biggest groups out there is country music people, just like paranormal. Loyal, they're going to be with you, they believe in you. And so you want to find that audience. And these people that throw out this other BS saying something, it just drives me nuts, because I know the truth. In fact, we know that it's less than 1% of the people out there are the bullies. They're just the loudest. They've got the biggest mouths. The people that really, really love your shows is much bigger, or you wouldn't continue to, you know, have your shows, and they wouldn't be continued to be sponsored. But as well, this is the bigger thing and the bigger audience that people don't think about. There's people that come in here and bully, or wherever they go and bully. Then you got the nice people that go out of their way to say, I love it. I love what you do. Thank you. But the majority of the world takes your content for what it is, has enjoyed it, turns it off, and then goes back to their life. They don't have to tell you they liked it or didn't like it or it was okay. They're just using the content you're providing, and they'll come back again. And that's your biggest audience. These bullies, I don't know how we can stop them, but I hope we do. It's just old. It's old.
Yeah, yeah.
Ugh.
Well, you know,
so thank you. There's a Connie rant for you.
That was beautiful, Connie.
Thank you. Thank you.
And yeah, I don't mind when those guys come in to our new forum and
because you're good. You're good at coming back at them.
They post their objections. If they come in and make it about, here is why I don't believe your point of view, X, Y, and Z, and then I can come along and say, well, this is why that isn't true, or whatever we say as a interesting dialogue. They make the channel more interesting. Yes. And I love that.
I like that too.
What I don't like is when they're in there saying, stop talking. I don't want to hear you. You know. Now, I suppose you're going to take that picture and put it on the cover.
Do that again, please, and just stay there. Exactly. Stan going,
But
cross
that's
your
what
eyes
they want to do. Yeah. They're the typical little 2-year-olds that saying, I can't hear you, and they're making noises and trying to drown you out. Oh. You know, I'm not going to put up with that. But if they want to come in and say, you know, well, I think that the Bible has been modified like a game of telephone, and it's been passed down, changing every time it passed to new hands, and therefore it can't possibly be right now, then I can come along and I can explain, well, there's 5,600 plus transcripts out there in ancient Greek, and they've been all translated from the best available things. They haven't been copies of copies of copies of copies. And I can make that argument. And then the person can come back. Well, you know, this group of liberals here did a vote, and they had black balls and white balls. And they took every saying of Jesus and voted on whether they thought Jesus really said that or not. And 94% of all quotes in the Bible were judged as being not really said by Jesus. Well, I'm sorry, but I really don't find that methodology very acceptable. You know, and you're throwing that around as proof that you can't trust the Bible because a bunch of liberals got in a room and voted on whether they believed it or not. So,
who cares if they believed it or not?
In that general direction, but you get the idea.
I do get the idea. It's funny, as you were talking, I thought, you know, when we are lucky to go into the realms of the ancient world, and we come across hieroglyphics or, you know, any type of drawings or words out there, you know, that's been written, you know, a long time ago, right? Or even scrolls or things like, you know, whatever that we have found that it's like, oh my gosh, one day our world is going to be ancient and they're going to see all this bullying, where they, thank goodness we don't come across that in the pyramids or anything. Wouldn't that be funny if we came up to the pyramids and went, oh my gosh, they're actually bullying here. It looks like a live chat. They're being mean. I think he cussed that one out. We don't find a lot of that. I think the only bully part of it is, they would eat you, or no, there was a lot. They were mean back then, though, weren't they, to each other? But I don't think
this kind of stuff that happens in the forums is little sticks and stones stuff.
That's true.
You go back a few hundred years ago,
true.
and in fact, this happened in England all over the place. Every time you changed the king or queen, it would bounce back and forth between Protestant or Catholic, and whichever side it switched to. I mean, you think our elections are bad and everything changes when one party wins versus another. Back then, they would burn you at the stake if you were in the wrong party.
This is true.
So, things are not as bad as they once were.
That's true.
But, I still would like to see people not encourage that, because that's just not good for the human race.
Well, I love that the crypto world is all about the freedom thing. So I'm surprised that these people in it are acting like that. And that's one of the reasons, too, that I love that people have paved the way for all of us. Here I am on a YouTube channel. It's called Blue Rock Talk, which is like, that's the network. And underneath it, you have Monday night programming, Tuesday night programming, Wednesday night programming, right? All the way through Sunday. Sunday's the church day. Tuesday night's crypto. Wasted Wednesday's coming up. I'm not sure how that's going to go or not. It is a serious look at the cannabis industry, and it is everywhere. It is the real deal. It is happening. I know a lot of people with cancer right now trying to get it for themselves medicinally. And, it's hard to hear that they need it to make them feel better, and then their doctor can't prescribe it to them because they have 2 more weeks on a vacation, where I'm thinking, oh my gosh, give your assistant authority, But there's a lot of interesting conversation for all that. But I like the freedom that I can do all those things instead of somebody, cutting on me going, oh, you're not credible because you do this. Are you kidding me? This is great programming across the board, and everybody's open. And if you're not, ting, go
someplace else.
Yep.
But I like to take, it's when I feed my dog a pill, I wrap it in cheese. And when I want to communicate either of the two topics, if I can wrap the two together, I might get more people to try it. So
try bacon. See how much further you get with bacon.
Oh, I bet.
To me, pepperoni. I like pepperoni. Good pepperoni. Here's a story for you. Were you a Michael Landon person? Did you like Michael Landon?
I like Little Joe Cartwright. I didn't watch Little House on the Prairie.
Sorry. Well, apparently Michael Landon, I remember somebody told me this story. I don't know if it's true, but someone that had known him said this. Another person said they didn't know about that, but apparently he knew when he was successful was when he always liked, I don't think it was either pastrami or it was something like that. I don't think it was pepperoni. It would have been pepperoni for me, but I think it was pastrami. And he loved that. And he knew he was successful when he could have pastrami every day. And, they had it for him on sets and things like that. And, sorry, that came about from bacon. Sorry. I just went away there. Clueless Connie there. All right. So let me get back here. Mike Crow says, is China not a big regulator of Bitcoin?
Well, I think China is extremely big in regulations. They're very big on everything to do with cryptocurrency.
They love it.
They also have a very authoritarian government, and so those butt heads from time to time. And each of us has a problem dealing with authoritarian governments. Right now, I don't see the U.S. government as any less authoritarian than the Chinese government. They both make rules that are crammed down our throat. The fact that we get to elect people to government doesn't seem to affect what the regulators do out there. And I think in China, they have a form of electing people, but it doesn't really affect what the government decides is going to be their policy. But I do believe governments can change in their perception. And as these big governments start seeing the success spreading like a firestorm across all the third world countries and the prosperity that that brings to them, they'll realize that it's better to embrace it than it is to go out and try to stomp it out for fear of losing control. I mean, you shouldn't have that much control in the first place. That wasn't what our country was built for, is for government to have that much control. And unfortunately, Congress not doing their job and handing too much power to regulators, and then allowing the regulators to just make stuff up in vast quantities, is contrary to everything we built this country for.
Sick. All right. I have been corrected. Connie by Murray Krause. There's only one exchange, and you're talking to him. That's good.
Oh, I like that.
That's good. I like it. That's good. Mike Crow says PC forever. No, Mac. Why don't you go Mac? Mike also has said, I don't know what he was referring to as a sign of intelligence to you, but he did say, so exchanges can filter down to your personal wallet.
I'm saying your personal wallet can access all the chains that it's designed to access, and can then provide a subset of the information that's on those exchanges and allow you to issue commands, or not exchanges, chains, and in fact can embed things like blocktrades.us does, which is look at all the world's exchanges and find the best price for you. So I think the future from the consumer standpoint, it will be there'll be a market for the apps that give you the best mix of all the greatest hits that are out there and the things that you find most useful. And it won't be one app for everybody, although it might be. Certainly WeChat over in China is become sort of the go-to app, the Swiss Army knife, if you will, of China for everything they want to do. And so it's possible that those type of applications, one of them could emerge as the universal interface to all the world's blockchains. But I think it's more likely that each of us will have our favorite application that taps into the things we care about.
That's cool. I think I remember you saying, so as much as the Chinese love crypto, I think you said that when you were over there, I was saying, Stan, make sure you tell everybody about Blue Rock Talk, how they can watch us. And you said they don't get the internet, or they don't get YouTube. Is that it?
No, YouTube is off limits to them. And, they have the so-called Great Firewall of China, which limits to some extent what people can access over there. But, that's once again government saying it's more important for us to stay in control than it is for our people to have access to everything that's good and wonderful in the world, right? And it's no different than right now. Most new ICOs block Americans from participating because of our government getting in there and making it too dangerous for them to work with Americans. So what kind of service is the government providing Americans if they're blocking American citizens from accessing something they want to do?
Well, they'll provide a safe place for you, though, or safe space. I can't even say what do they call it? Safe space or safe place?
Yeah, safe space where you can go and not be offended. Yeah,
they'll provide that. Why not the other? I'm sorry. We'll get on that rant there. A joke is no good when you screw it up by the right. Screwed it up. Timing and everything got messed up on there. Alex Sure is asking, can Stan give an update on Bench? Thank you.
No.
I
do not want to get ahead of people that are doing great work. It's them. It's for them to talk about it. I am familiar with what the Bench team is doing and very impressed with it, and have talked about it tonight several times without using that name. So yeah, it's there, but it's for them to share with the world when the time is right. And certainly, I don't want to get in the business of plugging individual products, just because, once again, regulatory hurdles could get in the way of my using my free speech. So I always have to be careful how far I go in talking about. I like to talk in generalities and let you get your specific information through the channels that have been carefully scrubbed to make sure they're communicating in a proper way for our overlords to be satisfied.
You are watching Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis along with Stan Larimer tonight, the godfather of BitShares. I'm Crypto Connie because this is Crypto Connie Tuesday. We're talking about cryptocurrencies, the BitShares dynasty, and then some along the way. Tonight is really cool because we are simulcasting on my Facebook personal page as well as my Facebook Connie Willis page and Blue Rock Talk page and Twitter. This is exciting for me. I've been wanting to do it forever, and the software that I had just was corrupt. It ended up being corrupt. Oh my gosh, hours trying to figure that out. And then, anyway, making it all happen and work out. So those of you on the other formats that are watching, thank you to share that, pass it on, do all those, tweet it, Twitter it, do all that kind of stuff that you do. I would appreciate that to grow the audience. And also, if you want to get into the live chat, because it is live, come to the YouTube channel at Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis, and that's where we are. That's the chat I'm looking at. It's the easier one to take a look at. Sorry if I've missed some of your all's questions along the way. I do appreciate those of you that are here. I hope new people have subscribed, and I do see that we've got a lot of good likes in there. So thanks, everybody. We appreciate that. So totally appreciate that. So Chinese dynasties have changed with every grand solar minimum. Hey, oh, wait a minute. Oh, we got some. Hey, trolls, move out of your mom's basement and get a real life and a job. Here's one for you. This is Dr. Mulder. Stan, any updates about Cloudcoin you can share? Came in late. Sorry if already answered. Yeah, he was late. Too bad. Sorry, you got to rewatch it. Yeah, I guess what is the bigger question I think a lot of people do say about Cloudcoin is, well, will it be on the exchange, and how do I get it, and then how do I trade it in for something else? Where again, Sean says, spend it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of versatile uses, and certainly I think its sweet spot is its ability to do private transactions. It's a token that can pass between individuals without going on the blockchain. Okay, so you can hold them like a gold coin, and you can mail them to somebody in a brown paper wrapper if you want. You can use you can transmit them to people in a lot of different and unique and versatile ways. And that was one of the things I'm talking about. It's one of the 4 major new approaches to providing people with better way to manage their privacy and their ability to interact without undue interference.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. I like a lot of the other ideas he's got swirling around with that too, that I'm sure we'll all hear in the future, that he's mentioned, of course, here and when he was talking with you as well. I'm looking forward to getting Fuzzy back on again too.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. I desperately wanted to bring this up. I should have brought it up at the top of the hour. I apologize for burying it clear back here.
You loser.
But yeah, tomorrow is the big airdrop of whale shares.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Get your butt on to Steam it and go to the whale shares thing and look at the announcement. Yeah. But he's handing out lots of really cool tokens. You can read all about what that's good for. It's a tremendously powerful system, and he's dropping them on people who hold BitShares and some of his other tokens, and even Dan's old original token, which he created to hand out, which is called brownies.pts. Dan used to give out brownie points to people who did nice things. And then he went off and did EOS, and I don't know whether he's ever going to honor it himself, but Fuzzy and I are determined to honor brownies. So anybody there that had brownie points, Fuzzy was the first guy, I think. I think there were a couple others actually, but this is the next big thing. If you were an early participant in the first couple years of BitShares and you earned some brownie points, then tomorrow is a big opportunity to get something for them. And so you're going to want to drop what you're doing and learn about it. And I got to get off of here because I got to go do mine, because starting sometime tomorrow will be a drop on people.
So what do? We go to whaleshares.com?
Well, I don't know whether that's the right place or not. Yeah. I'm saying their announcement occurred on Steemit.
Okay.
So go to steemit.com/ I'm going to say at Whale Shares, but I'm not sure if that's the right one. But there's a Whale Shares tab on there, and there's a post, and it was probably posted or re-steamed by Fuzzy somewhere. But that tells you all the things that are happening, and for all I know, it's happening right now because it's probably Greenwich Mean Time, midnight, which is behind us now. So we might actually be into the great and terrible day of the Fuzzy.
So we still have time? I want to go in there.
Yeah, I'm saying for the next 24 hours.
Okay.
Sometime in that 24 hours, as I understand it, there will be a particular block that occurs where if you have those different coins that they mentioned, you'll get some of his new coin for free. And so you can read there about all the details. But I did want to give a shout out about it because Fuzzy's a longtime member of the community, does an amazing number of things, spends his own money to make stuff happen for the BitShares community. Yeah. And he's also very much engaged in the EOS activities as well. And he's got his own coins, this is the one he's been working on for a while. So I wanted to make sure we got on Whale Shares Eve. We got that particular thing shouted out. So sorry I didn't do it sooner. I tried to do it earlier, then we went in a different direction on the conversation.
Not even worth talking to you anymore, Stan. You just, you're losing it. You're losing it. Fuzzy had actually gotten me onto the Whale Shares a while ago, and they were in the beta. And I don't know if they still are or what, but I set myself up at least for it, and I knew it was going to be something very special. And he's just a really neat guy. You guys had said over and over again, you got to get Fuzzy on, you got to get Fuzzy on. And then finally we got him on. And the time that I got him on, that was the first time you've ever seen him. So it's great to go video. That was the first time you ever saw what he looked like. Y'all just knew him as the voice.
I thought that was true, but somebody pointed out that there was a BitShares road trip that happened in 2014. Where they interviewed a lot of the founding members, and Fuzzy was in that tape, and I did watch that tape, so I had seen him before, but it had been a long time.
Fuzzy had been forgotten, but not anymore. Now he's loved by all for sure. He is just really a great guy, and I want to get him back on about the Milk Box project that's on the graphene blockchain. I love that. Okay, let's see what else we got over here. Oh, okay, 832, put in there the steemit.com Whale Shares official Fuzzy drop and launch announcement. I love that. Thank you so much. So I guess you've got to be on, would you have to be on Steemit in order to be a part of that?
No, or just but that's where you can get all the info, yeah.
Okay, sometimes you gotta be over here before you can do this, and oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I'm sure he posted a lot of other places. It's probably on Bitcoin Talk as an ANN. So you may find it other places, but that's the place I'm aware of anyway.
I'm so happy about that. I think something that he was building, he was talking about, is going to be to where it wouldn't be. What do they call the mean whales? What are they called?
I call them evil whales. But,
evil whales. Well, there you go. I think he was talking about something where that would not be a problem. I'm hoping so. So, man, we've got some great people in here tonight. Thank those of you that have showed up. We are on a bunch of different platforms tonight. We're on my personal Facebook page. We're on my other verified pages, Connie Willis and Blue Rock Talk. and also one of my Twitter feeds, which would be Periscope. I'm really excited about that. Made some major changes. I'm very happy so far. Everything seems to be smooth. Those of you that are at the other outlets and you're saying, hey, I'm asking you a question, Connie, and you're not answering it, you got to go over to Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis on YouTube. And that's the live chat that we're using. So thanks everybody for hitting that like button and joining into the conversation here. So Easy Dex says, actually, a lot of people are mad at Fuzzy for not delivering what was promised with the whale shares chain. Any idea about that?
Hadn't heard that, and haven't had time to follow the discussions and promises in the chain. So I'm not sure anything about that. You have to ask Fuzzy about that.
Okay. He Easy Dex had said earlier too. He says, I recommend everyone to ask Fuzzy why it isn't fully integrated with BitShares as promised. Maybe he's going to go EOS instead. Maybe he's got something else in mind that he's waiting. Technology-wise.
Anything is possible, but keep in mind to fully integrate with BitShares requires cooperation from BitShares.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't know whether he's tried, or if he tried and ran into resistance. There are different factions in the BitShares community. Getting them to agree on any one thing is not always easy. And that's why all my projects are built in such a way that they don't require deep integration with BitShares. We want to provide that option, but I don't want to be held up on things I invest my time and money in creating due to politics inside the BitShares voting regime. So we'll build it outside of BitShares, and then if people want it, they can integrate it deeper. And that may or may not be what was happening there. I'm totally unaware of what happened. I mean, just like I'm very unaware of what's happening inside all the EOS forums.
Right.
I can't keep track. It's all I can do to keep track of everything that's BitShares specific. And I don't even. I bet you I miss half of the total places people talk about BitShares. So we all got to know our limitations.
Yeah, and Easy's going back saying that only matters if it requires changes to the BitShares code, and if you work with it as it is, then nothing is required from anyone.
Right. Well, maybe his definition of deep integration is different from mine. My definition of deep integration is when you do something that changes the consensus of the blockchain and requires voting. And if it doesn't, then that's fair game for anybody to build. And I don't consider that deep integration. Okay.
I thought all the blockchain stuff was supposed to be, get rid of these people that are trying to control things. Wouldn't the voting count as that?
No, it's just the opposite. Obviously, since we don't have perfect artificial intelligence, you got to have humans at some point make decisions about how it's going. If you had one company doing that, then that would be centralized. BitShares was designed to have a widely decentralized voting process, but like any, even the American electoral system is broken down into two camps that often war on every single subject. BitShares has multiple such camps. The whole idea of coming up with a party system seems to evolve in any democracy as people unite in order to get their way with other people who they can get along with enough to at least all vote in the same direction. So that's just normal. And what it does is it makes it hard to change anything about the main chain once it gets going. It's really hard to get a majority to agree on anything. Not saying that it doesn't happen. There are good examples out there of where it has happened. But I consider my definition of deep integration is anything that requires a vote.
Okay. Well, he went on to say you integrate BitShares into the other blockchain, not the other way around.
No.
How does that work? Like, here's BitShares, and like EOS would be planted on top.
There are multiple ways to do that job, at least 4 different ways to do that job. One of which is to build BitShares as an application on top of the EOS operating system. That's the hard way. I'm sure people will plan to do that. I know Dan is doing things like that. with some of his technology. So you can do that, but there's also the idea of using side chains and that technology in order to do that sort of thing. And then you can actually launch your own EOS chain and make changes to it that make it more compatible with what you want to do on BitShares. So there's many different ways to do that job. And, one way would be to get BitShares to take some DNA out of EOS and incorporate it. There's people talking about that. Maybe somebody will do it. I haven't elected to tilt that windmill. I'll leave that for other people to figure out how they want to modify BitShares. But I've found ways to achieve, 4 different types of upgrades to BitShares without requiring a vote. And so that's the direction I'm heading.
He says if you do it through existing BitShares functions, you don't have to deal with BitShares politics.
Well, to the extent you can do it, there's a beautiful API there that gives you lots of type of things that you can do and integrate. And we are essentially, he's agreeing with what I just said, that you use what's already there, and you take another chain, put it beside it, and modify that chain. In other words, where do you do the adaptation? Inside BitShares or inside what you're trying to mate it up with, right? Like marriages, some marriages, one person or the other person is the one that has to compromise whoever's stronger willed.
That's
right?
True. One person does all the work and the other one doesn't.
So, that same kind of thing can happen. There are many different approaches to that, and I've hinted at many of them tonight. And over the coming 8 weeks, might take longer than that. I'm not making any promises, but I do want to be able to talk about a lot of it when we go to the Brazil conference and the Amsterdam conference.
Man.
And so
I think cryptoconnie needs to be there with you. Oh my gosh, Brazil, I've always wanted to go there. There's a lot of UFO action going on there. And also Amsterdam, that's just, I don't know if I want to go there. I know that's very famously known, but is it safe?
They've got all along this one street little windows where you can do your show from.
Is there a light on there? See, you guys, Stan's just not the Bible man. You got to watch him. He'll throw in some things. Mike Crow, who is a part of Myth Chasers, good guy. You guys check out his YouTube channel and stuff. He says, when we're talking about all the BitShare stuff, and he gets into the politics too. He said, "Oh, is that a BitShares Congress? Oh no!" So you had mentioned something earlier about Dan giving away brownie points, which that's really cool. And I feel like I know you and your wife like family. I love it. It's very cool. But I know nothing about Dan except what you've said and what other people say. And I've just learned that coming into this world, of crypto. And I've seen some pictures of him. I can totally see the combination of you and Pam that has created him. There's no doubt he's your son. There's no doubt. But is he, giving away the brownies and creating these really great things? Steemit is awesome. BitShares, my gosh, and EOS, and who knows what else he's got in the future that maybe just keeps coming daily. Who knows? But was he a pretty nice kid? Or do you have to smack him up against the wall every now and then over there, country boy?
He was a stubborn teenager, drove his mother's nuts, But in general, we got along fabulously. And, a person who is very sensitive and interested in other people. He's still a geek's geek, okay? So like me, would prefer to spend time in a technical discussion with a small group of close friends than going to a cocktail party, for example.
Sure.
But I think, I don't know. Since he started doing EOS, he's been moving in industrial circles, far beyond where I ever go. So I don't really know what what it's been like for him as he's working in those domains. But prior to that, he's always been a down-to-earth guy that is very unlikely to raise his voice at any time.
So a good little kid. Did you notice?
I didn't say he was a good little kid. I said he was a stubborn teenager that drove his mother nuts.
But you also said he was.
He turned out
nice
to be a fine.
Kid.
He turned out to be a fine young man.
Well, I think he's a good kid for giving away little brownie points. But that was when he got older, so you're right. So when he was like tiny, not teenager, but tiny, did you think he was like, was he just quiet, or did you think something's going to come up? Like, I used to have all ideas as a little tiny kid, like early on. I mean, was he an idea guy as a kid, as a little boy?
I started in programming a Mac II at age 12.
I love it.
And it didn't take very long where I didn't need to teach him anymore because he just took off and taught himself from there on. But he always loved the technical kind of stuff, one form or another. And he went out, and I did my best to teach him and his brother how to play baseball. So we had lots of good little league practices at that age.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Usually the geeks are like, I hate baseball. I always want to be inside playing my games or something like that. Did he ever say to you one day, Dad, I'm going to take these overalls off that you make me wear, and I'm going to one day, do this, this, and this? He was never like that, was he?
No, he never, he was always doing, deep thinking and stuff. And, when his first interest was the Mac, and he was reading everything he could possibly read about the Macintosh and so on, and then branched out from there. But he's like a Renaissance man. I walked into his laboratory one time, and there's all these electromagnets spinning around and piles of diodes and stuff. I said, wait a minute here. I'm the electrical engineer. When did you learn how to hook up a transistor? So he's dug himself into that and virtual reality kind of stuff, and worked on unmanned vehicles. One day I came home and found he had a unmanned vehicle running up and down the logging trails on our property here. They needed a place to test it in off-road environments, so he volunteered using our little property. And he's had a wild and varied life, including writing ground control software for real government unmanned air vehicles.
Ooh.
When he was an intern working for SAIC.
Ooh, I love it. Well, what was the unmanned vehicle that was in the logging trails there? What was it? Was it the Mars rover by chance that later on?
No.
It could have been.
He worked for a local company here that was developing robotics of all kinds of different stuff.
Okay,
and,
very cool.
So he just took one of their vehicles that they were working on. DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, had a challenge for many years where they would have a contest where different people would enter the contest and race, like down through the Baja in Mexico, and to see who could make the winning race unmanned vehicle, over rugged terrain. So I think these guys competed in that 1 or 2 years.
Talking about Dan on here saying, everybody loves him. That's nice. That's a nice thing. That's got to be nice as a father. When you were just a minute ago, when you were, saying these things and talking about in detail this crypto world, I just wondered, who taught who? Did you teach him, or he teach you, or how'd that go? I guess you surpassed Daddy.
At the technical level, he's gone way beyond me. Now, I have my own unique thoughts that I share here, but they're not down in the detailed operating system of a blockchain. They're about applications.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you for your time. Those of you that have just now joined us, that's Stan Larimer, the godfather of BitShares. He talked his voice out. He wants to go get some whale shares before he wants to get the big drop before that, before he goes to bed, so he doesn't have to think about that anymore. And you know, a lot of good conversation, a lot of great chat in there too. Thanks, you guys. You are all Blue Rockers now. Those of you that have subscribed, you are a Blue Rocker. You are someone in the know now. So thank you for being a part of it. Hit that like button and always give a shout out. And if you can share this with other people, that will be great so we can grow this audience. And those of you on Facebook Live and all the Facebook groups, as well as Twitter and Periscope, thank you for being part of it. The live chat again was here on YouTube, and that's what we'll do in the future. We'll do more of this, and that means we'll do that with Bigfoot Friday, and we'll do that with Far Out Thursday, and we'll do that with Stan's Bible class on Sundays. So that's 2 p.m. Eastern on Sundays. All the other nights are 10 p.m. Eastern. What do you think, Stan? Would you be even available if I went 9 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. Eastern?
We could probably do that.
All right. What do you guys think out there? I want the Blue Rockers to tell me what you guys think, because it doesn't matter what Stan thinks anyway. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It absolutely does. So I guess that's it. Any last words before you hit the road, Jack?
Nope. I think that's enough pontificating for one night.
Yeah, that's for sure. You've done that. So thanks, everybody. I'll be back on Coast to Coast, by the way, August 11th with William Gazetke. He's got some unbelievable stories as a documentarian where he saw things happen right before his eyes. That's so rare when you have the camera on for things to occur, and then you can't explain them and you cannot figure them out. So maybe we'll get the minds of Stan and Dan to figure that out one day when they get out of the crypto world and, you know, can still use their minds elsewhere. Figure some of these things out. That would be cool. All right, I want to get my well shares as well. So everybody have a safe and happy rest of the night, and we will be talking to you later. Thanks again. Hit that like button. We all appreciate that you guys have been here. Thank you very much, everybody.